Good afternoon. Thank you for being flexible and shifting with us a little bit, trying to be considerate of weather and people driving in weather, and it hasn't started yet, so that's good. Hopefully we'll all get home safely, but good afternoon. Welcome to the 2025 Messiah Athletics Hall of Honor induction ceremony. Can you guys hear me okay? I don't sound like I'm projecting. I have the privilege of being the Executive Director of Athletics here at Messiah. We are honored to be gathered here tonight, or today, to celebrate the achievements and contributions of our outstanding student athletes, coaches, teams, and our great supporters. So welcome to all of our inductees, all families and friends, and all of our campus and athletic department members. Thanks for being here today. Messiah Athletics' mission is simplified by two things. You've probably seen it or heard it, hopefully, around, if you've been around Messiah Athletics at all. But as a department, we strive to pursue athletic excellence and develop Christian character. And that's what makes us different from other programs. And it's truly the reason why so many of us are here and came to Messiah. The individuals we are inducting tonight have not only excelled in their respective sports, but also demonstrated excellence in leadership, Christ-like character, and sportsmanship. They have indeed achieved athletic excellence and demonstrated Christian character. And we are excited to celebrate with you all today. Before we get to our new class, I'd like to take a moment to recognize any of our past inductees into the Hall of Honor and say thank you for continuing to be part of Messiah Athletics and being here tonight. I don't know if do we have any tonight? If you are a current Hall of Honor member, would you please stand? Oh, I know one. There we go. Okay. Thanks for being here. My job tonight is just to welcome you and get us started, so I don't want to take too long, but I do want to take a minute and thank a few groups. First of all, this event is sponsored by FAN, the Falcon Athletic Network, and so thanks to each of you who have contributed to FAN to support the student-athlete experience. We're really excited about some of the initiatives that we've been able to put in motion. This past fall, we opened Sawyer Pavilion and the lacrosse stadium, the Whitmer Family Lacrosse Stadium, as part of the Warmer Welcome campaign. You might have seen that. We are in phase 2 of that campaign, which is going to build seating at softball and a press box. Yay, let's clap for that. And also a press box and new dugouts for baseball. So thank you for continuing to contribute to FAN if you are indeed a contributor. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank everybody who made tonight possible. Our catering staff, the Hall of Honor Selection Committee. Is anybody on the Hall of Honor Selection Committee? If you are, would you please stand so we can thank you? There we are. Thank you for serving in that way. And for a couple people who came in early, helped us set up, Brooke Good, Casey Stone, Pat Bertholet, and numerous other people I'm sure that I'm forgetting, and I'm sorry that I'm forgetting your name, but thank you for helping us get this going today. So thanks for being here. Thank you for supporting Messiah Athletics. It truly is a special place. Congratulations to all of our inductees. We're excited to celebrate with you tonight. And now I'm going to ask Pat Bertholet, our Director of Athletic Communications, to come on up, and we will get started. Oh, actually, let me pray for us before we get started. Then Pat will come up and start the actual stuff. So bow with me. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for flexibility and adaptability and being able to still have our event today. Thank you for all of our inductees who are here with their families. Thank you just for time to celebrate, to remember special memories, and to honor you with what we do tonight. I just pray that it would be honoring to you. I pray that we just have a great time tonight. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for your faithfulness and your love of us. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you for the introduction, Sarah. My name is Pat Bertholet, and I am the Director of Athletic Communications here at Messiah, and I'm so excited for this event this evening. As the Director of Athletic Communications, I have the pleasure to watch our current student athletes compete on the field. Also in my role, I get the chance to review the past of Messiah Athletics. So I was especially excited to put some faces to the names that I get to see all the time on our record books. I think the easiest thing to do in sports is to get focused on stats. But my favorite part on working on the Hall of Honor this year has been learning more about the people themselves and how they grew off the field at Messiah University. Those type of details are never seen on any box score, but shows that these 6 inductees were more than just talent on the field, and I'm excited to hear more about themselves and their stories from Messiah tonight. With that being said, before I introduce the first inductee, we'll have the entire induction ceremony on YouTube, and we'd also have the video included in our story on gomessiah.com as well. So if you have any family or friends that could not make it tonight, it'll be up for you guys to watch that later. If after each inductee could, after they finish speaking, if you could please receive a gift from Sarah and come off to the side of the stage over here for a picture. Also, after the last inductee, if we could please get a group picture up front, that would be great. I know everyone's excited for the food and to spend time with their family and friends, but if we could get a quick picture, that would be amazing. All right, now let's get to our first member of the 2025 Hall of Honor class. Our first inductee is Lauren Rees Bond. Lauren Rees Bond was an incredible competitor and leader in her 4 years on the court at Messiah. A 4-year all-conference honoree, Bond was named to the first team all-conference for her final 3 seasons and was also named to the second team in her freshman year. Bond also received AVCA All-Region Honorable Mention honors in 2011 and a first team honor in 2012. She became the first player in program history to earn AVCA All-American Honorable Mention honors in 2012. Bond has left her mark on the history of Messiah women's volleyball. She helped lead the Falcons to 4 straight conference tournaments and to 2 conference championship games in 2011 and in 2012. Those conference championship appearances were the first appearances in program history since 1987. Bond is also featured all over the women's volleyball record book, finishing her career first with 4,018 total attacks, second with 1,418 kills, third with 3.47 kills per set, fifth with 158 service aces, seventh with 1,235 career digs, and 10th with 3.06 digs per set. From former head coach Judy Tobias, Lauren helped our teams take steps forward in our competitive level within the conference and region. She raised the bar with her skill as an outside hitter and all around on the court. Lauren was a player that contributed to the team by being focused on the whole. She gave her best and was very humble in any of the recognition that naturally came her way. Lauren was a pleasure to coach and to work with for 4 years. She was a natural leader, but it was demonstrated through a very humble manner. This humility in which she carried herself as a young adult was so impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, Lauren Rees Bond.
Hi, everyone. I get the honor of going first, which is great or awful. Okay, so thank you for that really kind introduction. I'm going to read off my phone because I don't do this a lot, so sorry. All right, so thank you, everyone. It's very humbling to be here today alongside these other elite athletes in this inductee class as well as those who have been inducted into the Hall of Honor before us. Having this experience happen over a decade after I was a collegiate athlete certainly opens up a good opportunity for reflection. I think back to the highlights of my time as a volleyball player at Messiah. My junior year, our team went undefeated in regular season conference play for the first time, which was very cool to be a part of that history mark on the programs for the program. Unfortunately, we lost the conference final, but that's all right, because this year, Coach Holly and her team were able to win the conference, which was amazing to watch, and they got to go to the tournament for the first time. So Um, it makes me very proud to be able to say that I've been a part of this program, the program's history and their journey. My involvement in the sport of volleyball has evolved as anything does in life. After graduating, I did continue to play for a few years in adult leagues and outdoor tournaments, and I had so much fun getting to know others in the volleyball community. Then, as every story now includes, COVID happened, and leagues ended, and then I started having children. I haven't been able to get back into playing, but volleyball is one of those great sports that allows for lifetime involvement. So I do look forward to getting back to the court as a player soon. My senior year of college, I also started coaching locally for a youth travel club in the area in Camp Hill, and I've been doing that ever since. So for the past 12 years, I've been happy to be able to have the experience of on the other side of the sport, and striving to create an environment for youth to both learn the sport and also fall in love with it just as I did. Now, 10 years later, to be honored by my collegiate athletics program, it definitely feels rewarding to have been impactful in a program's history. I'm deeply honored to be selected to represent success in this sport among many other athletes who committed themselves to the discipline and hard work to be the best that they could be for the teams for these programs here at Messiah. As any athlete would tell you, the sports mean more to a person than just getting to play a fun game. But truly, that is the center of it. Enjoying an experience that brings so much into one's life, relationships, challenges, opportunities to grow in self-confidence, learning to work with others, and getting to connect with some very awesome people. So thank you to my parents who always have supported me, Coach Tobias for believing in me my whole career here, and to Messiah Volleyball for being an impactful part of my life. Thank you to Messiah Athletics for this honor and showing that I was able to be impactful for the women's volleyball program. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Brandt Harpine. After transferring after a freshman season, Brandt Harpine made an immediate impact in her 3 seasons in a Messiah uniform. Harpine was honored with first-team All-MAC Commonwealth in each of her 3 seasons. She was named to the first-team All-Region and first-team All-American as well in each of her 3 seasons. In 2012, Harpine added more hardware, claiming the National Player of the Year and Conference Player of the Year honors. The Falcons earned even more team success in Harpine's 3 seasons on the pitch. The Falcons went 71-2-2, including 3 conference championships. Harpine was part of back-to-back national championships in 2011 and 2012. And in 2010, the Falcons also finished as national runners-up. Harpine is featured in the Falcons record book with the 6th most assists in program history with 35, 10th in most points with 107, and 14th in career goals with 36, all just in 3 seasons. She also has the 6th most assists in a single season in program history with 15 during the 2012 season, in which her final assist on the season came in the Falcons' 1-0 win over Emory for their 5th national championship in program history. From women's soccer head coach Scott Fry, I had the opportunity to watch Alex grow up and see this young girl who had a love for the game and a drive to train at such a young age become a very special player. Alex was a joy to watch on the ball, if she was on your team. She was always in control of the ball, and she could change direction on a dime. She was tireless and covered every inch of the field if necessary, and most importantly, she really hated to lose at anything, at any time. I was not surprised that Alex had the opportunity to play at the Division I level. She was that good. But when she decided to come to Messiah after her first year at UCF, I knew we were going to have some very special times in the program. She was joining a team that was already very strong, and she was the player that had the ability to make those around her even better. Her ability to break the pressure of a defense all by herself was unmatched. She could create a goal for someone or get one all by herself. Truly one of the finest players and young women I have had the privilege to coach. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Brandt Harpine.
Hi. Okay, thank you. I'm going to read this, so yes. I'm grateful to be back at Messiah for the first time in years, now with my husband Steve, who graduated 2 years ahead of me at Messiah. We didn't meet at Messiah. We met in Nashville, and this is the first time we've ever been back to campus together. And then my 2 daughters, Nora, who is 6 months, and Sophie, who's almost 4. So first and foremost, I would like to thank my dad for a million reasons for creating the culture that I got to be a part of at Messiah. Messiah has had such an important impact on my life dating back to my childhood. Growing up around the culture of my dad's team made me want the same for my college experience. But since I grew up around the men's team, I really didn't know all that much about the women. So I ended up trying my best to find a similar place in Division I. And I ended up at Central Florida, but I knew pretty quickly that I wanted to come back to play at Messiah. And soccer went all right there, and there were definitely perks, but what I found that was missing was everything that I knew I wanted to be a part of at Messiah. Really everything outside of soccer, which is funny because my dad always says soccer is the vehicle for things more important and longer lasting than just the game. So for me, it was definitely a full circle moment coming back here, growing up 5 minutes away from here. And even though the coaches at UCF at Central Florida didn't give me my conference championship ring because I left too early, I had faith that I'd get some national championship rings instead. So I'd also like to say that I never once have been injured ever or had to miss any sort of game or practice for my entire life. So I'm proud of that. I would also like to thank my dad for inspiring me to become the player I was, for the endless one-on-one coaching sessions that he did for me, vacations, garages, basements, on the sand, on the street, hours upon hours, for inspiring me to become a player that could do something different or be something special, for believing in and never judging me for all of my dribbling that I did, and tolerating my perfectionism that got in the way of doing L's and V's, and for giving me a dream. I'm honored to be able to share this award with him, even though he deserves it 1,000 times more. Thank you to my mom for pushing me to my limit during track workouts, which is her expertise, for making me tougher, taking me to tournaments and games. And then thank you to my brother for being my biggest fan and best friend, and for being willing to play 1v1 with me during our workouts growing up when he didn't want to. Thank you to my grandparents who came to all of my games, my grandpa wearing a number 10 hat, for coming to visit me when I played soccer in Prague, and that's something I'll never forget, taking me all over the Czech Republic. Thank you to Coach Fry, who welcomed me to the team even though I missed the first season, and for pushing me to play better, more consistently, for making me believe in my defending skills, and for putting up with my denial whenever I had to sub out of a game. Thank you to my classmates who changed the way I view friendships, for accepting me into their class, and for becoming some of the best friends I ever had. Steph, who's here, and then Rachel, who was going to be here but is not. Thank you so much, and it's great to be back at Messiah and to be able to attend. That's it.
Our next inductee is Kaleb Loht. A quiet leader on and off the mat, Kaleb Loht had a historic four-year career as a Falcon. Loht finished his career with a 159-13 record for a 92.4 winning percentage. Loht was named a two-time All-American after his national championship in 2014 and third-place finish in 2015. Kaleb also was the Mid-East Regional Champion twice. It was named the MAC Wrestler of the Year in 2014. In 2014, Loht had a dominant season, going undefeated against Division III opponents with a 48-1 overall record. Loht helped the Falcons win their first MAC championship and just the second conference championship in program history. That season, the Falcons finished with their best team total in the NCAA championships to that point with a third-place finish. Loht was also a force in the classroom, being named a COSIDA Academic All-American in 2014 and earning NWCA Scholar All-American honors 3 times. Along with his academic accomplishments, Loht was featured all over the Messiah Wrestling Program record book. Loht has the record for most wins in a single season with 48, and is third in program history with 159 career wins. Loht also has the second and third highest win percentages in a single season with a 980 win percentage in 2014 and a 977 win percentage in 2015. He also has the fourth highest career win percentage at 924 and the sixth most career falls with 47. From former assistant coach Dom Commodore, Kaleb is such an amazing person outside of wrestling. He is a man of high integrity, a man of faith, and it was an honor to coach him. Things I loved about Kaleb are that he was such a hard worker, he was dedicated to his sport, and willing to do the little things to become a champion. We used to call him remote control because if you told him to turn left and that led him into a wall, he would do it. I also love that even though we came from completely different backgrounds, he focused on our similarities rather than our differences, and that meant a lot to me. I wish I had a million Kalebs to coach, but I am so thankful God allowed me to coach him and be part of the ride to the national championship, which was also an amazing run for our entire team. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaleb Loht.
So a wrestling match is 7 minutes, and they told us to keep it 5 or 6 minutes. But I am way more nervous for this than I was in any wrestling match. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank some people who helped me achieve my goals and discuss some life lessons that I learned here while at Messiah. First, I'd like to thank my parents for helping me pursue wrestling by giving their time and energy. Mom, for filming my elementary matches, even if that meant missing all the action because you were too busy yelling at me. I can't tell you how many times it was just a video of just the mat or the referee's backside. Dad, for taking me to all my practices, being my elementary coach, taking me over the mountain for extra practices as I would be doing homework in the car. Next, I'd like to thank Coach Dom. He said that I was like his remote control, but that's the only reason I was like that, because he made me stay after practice even when I didn't want to. I think freshman year, we worked on scrambling skills after practice. Sophomore year, I was getting cradled on a stand-up, and he helped me with that. Junior year, preventing the cutback, and well, senior year, he just wanted me to stay after again. The point is that there was always something to learn, and you could always get better. So I use that in my life every day, looking for areas to improve, whether that's in relationships or work. So thank you, Coach Dom, for instilling that in me. Coach Brunk, he taught me so much about my identity and what it meant to be a wrestler for Christ, how to use this gift as a platform to bring others towards Jesus. One assignment that I remember specifically was you had to prepare for a predetermined response. And what that meant was you had one scenario where you met all of your goals, and a reporter comes up to you and asks you a question, How would you use that opportunity to bring others closer to Christ? And then scenario 2 was that you fell short and the reporter was asking you the same questions. How would you take failure and use that as an opportunity to bring glory to God? I had the opportunity to use both of my predetermined responses while my time here at Messiah, and it's a skill that I still use today. So I still try to rehearse difficult conversations I might have to have with employees or people at work or with friends, or the occasional disagreement that I have with my wife, which I'm always the one that tends to have to apologize. I'm not sure why that is. I had no idea how God would use my predetermined responses, but like 1 week after wrestling ended, I was about to find out. The national tournament ended and spring break started the next day. Some teammates and I went down to Florida, and I met this girl. Her name is Kasaya, which is a unique name, but then my sister's name is Kezia. They're both derived from the same, in the Bible, one of Job's daughters. So later, talking with this girl that I met on the beach, found out that she also goes to Messiah. So those two coincidences right there had my mind turning. So we come back to Messiah, and we are still talking and getting to know each other. And I find out at her house, her dad is Googling me. And he's reading some of these interviews that I've had after I won the national tournament, or after I didn't make it quite to the finals my senior year, and took third. But he was reading those, and then a couple weeks later I meet him, and he's like interrogating me. And I'm like, how do you know all these things about me so far? And later to find out that he was reading a couple of the interviews that I've had. And that makes me think, like, perhaps if he hasn't read those interviews, he doesn't know what my character is and how I deal with failure, how I deal with triumph and those things like that. Maybe he wouldn't have gave his blessing for me to marry his daughter. And the predetermined responses that I was taught here also helped me go through tragedy with losing my grandma, my 19-year-old cousin, and my father-in-law within the first or a couple of 3-year span. So losing loss and having 3 failed pregnancies, but then also the triumph of knowing that in June me and my wife are supposed to welcome our first daughter into the world. So thankful for that. So closing here, I'm just thankful for the decision to come here to Messiah. It came down to one decision to decide whether or not I was going to come here or not, and it's the best decision that I've ever made. It led to so many great friends, teammates. Wish I had more time to thank. Truly honored to be here and to be part of Messiah's Hall of Fame, so thank you.
Our next inductee is Christina Wessman Price. Christina Wessman Price was an instant leader in her 4 years as a Falcon and helped set the standard for Messiah softball that still goes on today. Price was a crucial part of the 1998 team that became the first softball team in program history to win regionals and make it to the national tournament Final 8. The Falcons repeated as regional champions the next year in 1999. The Falcons won 2 conference championships in 98 and 99 with Price manning second base. Price finished her career as a 3-time All-Conference selection and earned 3 All-Region honors. In her senior season, after moving to shortstop, Price earned a 3rd-team All-American selection. Price's career is also highlighted in the softball record book. Price is 3rd in career stolen bases with 68, 7th with 196 career hits, and 8th with 115 runs scored. She was also a natural athlete in the field, finishing her career with the 4th most assists in program history with 291, while playing 3 seasons at second base and then moving to short her senior season. From softball head coach Amy Weaver, I had the wonderful privilege of coaching Christina Wessman Price here at Messiah University. Christina's older sister Meredith was here at Messiah playing softball before Christina came to Messiah. Meredith was also a good softball player here at Messiah. We knew she had a younger sister and that she was a good softball player, but we didn't realize how great she was until she got here. Christina stepped in right away as a freshman at second base and became an impact player. She was very fast and joined Den Tuma, also a Messiah Hall of Famer, as the two fastest players on our team. In light of her speed, she was a lefty bunter slash slapper, and she and Jen were an amazing 1-2 punch in the lineup. Christina had a fiery passion in how she played the game and approached life. I remember her never give up mentality and refused to let the ball get by her in practice when challenging her in infield drills. She was such an amazing athlete that she made the switch to the shortstop without even blinking and earned All-American honors that season. One of my distinct memories was at the College World Series when in warm-ups the ball took a bad hop and hit her right under the eye, splitting her skin. The trainers thought she should go get stitches, but she was having none of that. Asked them to butterfly it up, and she played that day. She was not going to back down, give in, or let anything deter her from her goal. She was a great team player, teammate, leader, and fierce competitor. She also loved the Lord with all her heart. I love how she was passionate about Jesus and softball. She gave everything she had to the things in her life she was passionate about. She lived her life in the light of the Lord and left a mark on the Messiah softball program. Ladies and gentlemen, Christina Wessman Price.
Yeah, that moment at Nationals was crazy. Coach Weaver brought it up. It was Christy Samoji that we went out the last second. We had extra time before our next game because the game before us was going long. And I had 15 stitches across my cheekbone. But our trainer, Justin, checked me, no concussion. Then I said, I'm playing. I think the first ball that was hit to me went right through my legs because I was scared. But we ended up winning that game, so it didn't hurt us. But yeah, so many memories. And I'm going to keep this short and sweet for my own sake, but also with the weather coming in and my teammates know I would much rather be singing with them in the van than up here talking. So I just want to say thank you to the selection committee. It was cool when Coach Weaver called and said that Derek was also nominated without her and Coach Phil knowing they were each going to submit our names. So it definitely makes it more special being inducted the same time as Derek. And thank you, Coach Weaver. My freshman year was actually Coach Weaver's first year as head coach, and she's still coaching. And but she's young. You were in your 20s, right? And so she is young. Well, because I guess you guys don't necessarily know how old I am. I'm 45, so she's young. Because that was 25 plus years ago that I played. So, and our first spring break was when they had just adopted Seth, and he was the team baby, and we loved it so much. So, thank you to Coach Weaver. Thank you for your longevity in this program and giving everything you had. And Mike, Mike knows better than anyone the time that it was sacrificed to be a head coach of a program and the longevity and thank you for your investment in the program as a whole and in the players as individuals also. I need to say thank you to my parents. I'm so thankful for the encouragement and their support. I'm grateful to have been raised in an environment where softball was a big part of life. My dad has always coached and invested time in that, but Jesus was always the center. There were plenty of times we showed up to youth group in our uniforms to make sure we were always there in church and committed to the Lord. But I just am grateful to have grown up in an environment where softball was not my identity, but my identity was always in Jesus. It was an awesome thing that we got to do, but it was always about Jesus. I'm just so grateful for all that the sport of softball has taught me, how it has shaped me and taught me perseverance. I'm grateful for the countless memories on and off the field. Most of all, I'm grateful for my teammates and the bonds and friendships that have remained long after my playing days have ended. These accolades can be very nice, but they really mean nothing without the people we got to play them with and experience all the memories and the joy and the ups and downs with. So thank you guys for that. And looking back on my 4 years playing softball at Messiah, I'm so blessed to have played in an environment where every time we got to step on the field, we had the privilege of playing for the glory of God. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Derek Price. Derek Price did it all on the diamond for the Falcons in his 4-year career as a pitcher and shortstop for the Messiah baseball team. In 2001, Price was named the Conference Player of the Year for his outstanding pitching and play at short. During that season, the Falcons finished as the runner-up in the MAC Commonwealth Tournament, tied for their best tournament finish in program history at the time. In his career, Price set many records that still stand today. Price set the record for career complete games with 22, 7 shutouts, and 256 strikeouts. Price also holds many single-season records with 9 complete games, lowest walks per 9 at 1.07, and tied for the most strikeouts in a single season with 99. At the plate, Price capped off his career batting .302 his junior season and .308 his senior season. From former teammate Brian Engel, there was no opponent that wanted to see Derek step into the batter's box when we were on offense. And likewise, there was no opponent that wanted to see Derek on the mound when we were on the defensive side. Derek was a rare talent that could really do it all on offense and defense. But more than that, he was and still is one of my best friends. And I had no hesitation who I wanted to ask to come along my side when I was fortunate to serve as the head coach of the Falcons. He brought great passion and knowledge as a player and coach, and I am thrilled that he is being recognized for the tremendous contributions that he made to Messiah baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Price.
Brian knows that I tear up at a strategic keychain in a commercial. So that means a lot coming from Brian. He's a great friend of mine. And it was fun to play with him, and as he mentioned, to serve with him on his staff as his first year here at Messiah on the baseball team. Lauren mentioned that getting this honor 10 years after graduating adds a different perspective, a unique perspective. Getting it 20 years after you've graduated adds perspective, but it also caused me to really have to think long and hard about some memories. I feel like I've forgotten more than I remember. Those memories are now filled with my kids' athletic achievements and their accomplishments, and mine just sort of fade into the back and mean much less today. Saying that, thank you to Coach Phil, who's at practice where he should be right now, and Sarah and the committee for this honor. Not an honor I was expecting, anticipating, or even seeking, but it is an honor to be a part of this esteemed class, and I'm grateful for that. In 2019, as was mentioned, I was a junior here at Messiah, and Christina was a senior. We had just started dating that year, and I was named Player of the Year, and through a few tips and some footwork I taught her, and she was also Player of the Year that year as well. And so that was a fun time for us as we were just starting in our dating. But in those days, she was quick to point out, you heard, she was also an All-American. And so a lot of folks would ask, and we would talk about both being honored as Player of the Year. And she was like, but I was also an All-American. And so she one-upped me then. She's been one-upping me ever since. But it is a pretty cool honor to be, as I said, this wasn't on our radar, but to be in the same class is pretty cool and pretty special. So as I mentioned, my memories have faded. Certainly there are some. But the coolest part, I think, about this was the interactions and the phone calls and text messages I've been sharing with teammates and reminiscing memories from such a long time ago. Do you notice I'm the only one that put glasses on to do this? And so that's been a blast. So many memories I had forgotten, many of which, if you were around in that time, it was strategic. We were not a very good program, to be honest. And so to think back, this has caused me to do some recollection. And I remember I made a decision late to come to Messiah. Messiah wasn't on my radar. Exactly, it was on my radar, but I was heading down the route at Liberty, and sort of late in my spring senior year, I chose to forego a scholarship to Liberty to come to Messiah. I thought it'd be cool to pay for my education long after I left. And but the driver behind that decision was, and Liberty went on to have 4 great years while I was gone, which added insult to injury. But I wanted to be a part of something. I remember Coach Montgomery. There are many coaches here that remember Coach. Yeah, we'll leave that alone. But I was really, the program was not very good, and I was really driven. I wanted to be a part of creating something. I was fortunate to be on campus when Coach Brandt and those teams started taking off. I hated them for it. They were having all this success. I'm like, gosh, we just want to have a little bit of success. But it was really cool. And Coach Brandt, it's cool that you're here because your leadership meant an awful lot. Even though I wouldn't have admitted it as a student athlete, I'll admit it today, and I admit it an awful lot. I still follow you closely. And so, as was mentioned, we came up short my junior and senior year, both years. We lost in the conference championship. And as I look back, at the time, it was heartbreaking. I was gutted. I think I was the last to leave the dugout. I was bawling like a 3-year-old girl in that dugout, realizing the career was over. But more importantly, the goal that I had set for myself wasn't accomplished, and that was to get the program the first conference championship. Brian, as he would do, of course, the next year they got it done. They won the first conference championship. And as he mentioned, I was fortunate to come back. I think it was in 08, his first year, and coach with him. We won a conference championship. He was coach of the year and had a great run in regionals, coming up a little bit short. And so I got to experience what I was longing so badly for as a player alongside one of my best buddies in Brian Engel. And so as a program guy, I just got to finish with this. I know this is about us as the student athletes, but I'm so excited for the direction of the program. Coach Phil, who's not here, I have this, it's sort of, maybe it's the central Pennsylvania in me, a little passive aggressive. Every time we hire a new coach, I sort of stalk them and I seek them out for coffee. Of course, being friendly, but I'm really trying to get to the bottom. Who are you? What are you about? What are you going to accomplish while you're here? Coach Pat Lytle's a great friend, and it started with an interrogation over coffee. And I love him to this day. But when Coach Phil was announced, I had no idea who this Savannah Bananas guy was. And I reached out to him. I said, Phil, let's grab coffee. I used to play. I graduated in 02. Would love to sit down. And have formed and fostered a friendship. But I'm so proud of the program he's creating. I know they're right on the doorstep of accomplishing great things. But more than the wins, which, again, to brag on the program, celebrated the most wins in program history last year, is the quality young men that he's producing. I get to rub shoulders with some of them at the facility where my son trains. And I'm just so impressed with the young men that are going on to make an eternal impact long after their playing days are over. So, so excited for the program, for the athletics program in general. And then I'll just wrap with this. Choosing Messiah, while it had some uncertainty, and kids I trained today ask me if I have any regrets. I have zero. I met my wife here. I've got 3 great kids. It'd probably look a lot different had I not chosen Messiah. But the best part about being at Messiah, beyond all the great benefits of being a student athlete, was the fact that my parents, I don't know, I could probably count on one hand the number of games that they missed. My grandparents, they made our Florida spring break trip every year. And so to have them be so close and so much a key part of our program was a great experience. So thank you for being invested in me as an athlete. And my dad was my high school coach, so invested a lot of time, you can imagine. And so, again, extremely honored. Grateful to be a part of this class. Thank you again, and go Falcons.
Our final inductee is Patrick Roach. Patrick Roach had a dominant 3-year career on the Messiah men's cross country, indoor track and field, and outdoor track and field teams. Roach finished his career as a 3-time NCAA All-American in the indoor 400, indoor 800, and outdoor 800-meter races. He also earned Mid-East Regional, MAC Indoor and Outdoor Track Athlete of the Year in 2009. A captain for the men's track and field team, Roach helped lead the Falcons to MAC championship titles in indoor track during the 2008 and 2009 seasons. Roach also helped the Falcons win the MAC Cross Country Championship in 2008. At the end of his career, Roach was featured all over the Falcons record book. For indoor track, Roach set the record for the 200, 400, and 800-meter races, as well as the 4x200, 4x400, and 4x800 distant meter relays, and second in the 800-meter. Even 15 seasons later, Roach's indoor records still hold in the 400-meter, 4x200-meter relay, and the 4x800-meter relay. In outdoor track, Roach set records in the 200-meter, 400-meter, 800-meter, and the 4x800-meter relay. Roach's outdoor records still stand today in the 200-meter, 400-meter, 800-meter, and the 4x800-meter relay, and second in the 200, 4x100 relay, and 4x400 relay. Roach's 800-meter time of 1:48.77 was the 8th best time in NCAA Division III history in 2009. After graduation, Roach went on to set a personal best time of 1:46.58 in the 800-meter to qualify for the Olympic trials in 2012. From cross country and track and field head coach Dale Fogelsanger, Pat Roach gave it all on the track. From the gun to the finish, he gave his all. He was very talented. Pat came to Messiah his sophomore year as a sprinter, as a 100, 200, and if I needed, a 400 runner. I sensed that his best event may be the 800, a middle distance event. I did not think Pat would be really excited about moving up to a much longer distance. So I asked a teammate, Pat Hager, a mid-distance friend on our team, to talk smack to Pat Roach and challenge him in an 800. Pat Roach took the challenge. In his first 800, he ran a 1:57, a top 10 Messiah record time at Moravian. The 800 became his best event. Pat even raced cross country his senior fall in order to help his 800 race in track and field. I remember one time at Swarthmore, after another personal best 800 race, him lying in the infield for about 15 minutes, only able to lift his hand and finger when athletes would pass by and ask him if he was okay. I remember taking Pat after graduation to the New Jersey International Meet at Henderson, New Jersey in June 2009. Pat continued to train at a very high level for another 3 years post-college with the goal of the Olympic trials in 2012, which requires a lot of self-discipline when you no longer have your team to train with and are also studying in law school. Pat qualified for the Olympic trials in the 800 in Eugene, Oregon, running a 1:46. Pat represented Messiah's cross-country and track and field alumni team, wearing the Swift jerseys in the trials. Swift stands for strength, wisdom, integrity, faith, and truth. Pat has inspired many Messiah athletes even after he graduated, who never knew Pat personally, but by looking at his performance number on our top 10 bulletin board lists and hearing about his progression through college and his Olympics pursuit and experience. Pat was looked to as a model of balance by his peers. Pat is remembered as being humble, goal-driven, composed, and considerate of others. Pat has inspired his teammates, myself, and my family as a leader by example, a Christ follower, and a loyal friend. Pat, thank you for your wonderful legacy that you have left for our program and I. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Roach.
Thank you for that introduction. It is truly an honor for me to be back in Messiah, a place that helped shape me into the person I am today. with all the other inductees tonight. All of you accomplished so much in your careers, so congratulations to you. When I was thinking about what to say tonight, the word that repeatedly came to mind was thankfulness. So here's my thank you note to Messiah and everybody here in a way that I've never been able to say before. I want to first thank everyone who made the event possible. I am very much appreciative of this time. Although Messiah and the track and field program gave me a lot, the biggest gift was that of my wife, Abby. Unfortunately, she can't be here today because she's sick, but this is being recorded. I'm going to thank her anyway. We met early in her freshman year at the beginning of the year track and field meeting, and you were with me the rest of the way. You were there to support me and kept me grounded during the highs and the lows. Most people do not have the privilege of competing on the same team as their spouse in college, but we did. I'm grateful that I had you with me to experience these years of Messiah, and to have those memories is a big part of the foundation of our lives together now. I thank you for everything. To my parents, I know that there are plenty of dedicated parents out there, but you will not find two more dedicated than mine. They never wavered in their support of me when I decided to transfer schools for the first and then the second time. I also barely even ever remember them missing a track meet, traveling all the way to Oshkosh, Wisconsin to make sure they saw me run for maybe a minute. Their love and support was the base for my confidence as a runner and a person in general. I would certainly not be here without you. Thank you. To my sister, Kristen, I know being dragged around sometimes halfway or all the way across the country to sit at a track meet to watch me run for maybe a total of mere seconds to minutes was not always at the top of your list of things to do, but always being there to support me was at the top of your list. It never went unnoticed, and I always knew that I had you leading my cheering section wherever I went. It still means a lot to me, and I would not be here without your support. Thank you. To my in-laws, Steve, Kathy, and Matt, they're not here. I know you could be here. I know you would be here if you could, but you're here in spirit. They met me as a young junior with long hair in college, but you made me feel welcome right away. And even when I first, and I always felt your support for me. You took an interest in how I was doing and made a point to tell everyone about my achievements. It also never went unnoticed, so thank you. All right. I must have dropped a page, but I have it on my phone. All right, sorry about that. To the two coaches that made my time here so remarkable, Coach Fogelsteiner and Coach Barco, I'm honestly not even sure what to say. To have two men of God as coaches and models for what leadership should look like has guided me in many situations throughout my adult life. Coach Fogue, you always believed in me from the day I transferred into Messiah. After my first the story that you also told, after my first 800 race at Moravian, where I was nothing but a naive and scared runner new to middle distances, just following my teammate around the track, you took me aside and wrote on a piece of paper how I would progress to become a national champion. We came pretty close. You saw something in me that even I did not see. You not only cared about me as an athlete, but you cared about me as a person and still do. I hope you know how much you are appreciated by me and the numerous athletes you have guided throughout your time here. Thank you. Coach Barco, even though you're not always directly my event coach, you provided so much for me during my time here. Despite having plenty on your plate, both with your athletes and outside of track, I always felt like I had your full attention. You had an innate ability to always carve out time for basically everything. I still don't know how you did it so successfully. I remember reading a letter of recommendation that you wrote for me. Coming from someone of your stature and career background, those words have never left me. Thank you. I also want to thank my teammates, coaches who I thought of as teammates, and my honorary teammate who lived with us for 2 years. There are way too many of them to mention, and I'm sure I will hear about it from the guys if I forget someone, so I will not even try. I remember Coach Fogue would say all we needed to do was bring a recruit to campus, and the team would sell itself. That was evident from the very beginning for me when I took a tour of Messiah when considering to come here, and again transferring schools for a second time. I tried to keep a low profile as I already knew many people at Messiah from my high school days. However, God had other plans that day. I passed the guy who was on the track team on one of the walkways outside. I had only briefly met him once and tried to look away so that it would not be an awkward exchange. He decided to wave anyway. That guy later was a part of my wedding. From my time at Messiah competing in all types of weather, often going to Cracker Barrel after meets, having Bible studies on Sunday nights, and just generally hanging out together, to forging friendships that have been there for post-collegiate races, men's weekends, fantasy sports leagues, weddings, expansions of families, and just general friendship and support. I am very grateful for you all. Thank you for making Messiah the best place I could have ever imagined to spend my collegiate years in athletics. Lastly, but most importantly, I would like to thank God for taking me on this journey from being a kid from a small town whose only dream was to be in the NBA, as you all can see that did not work out, to a Christian school that I never knew I needed, and a sport that involved my least favorite part of practices in other sports, which is running. Looking back, it was very clear to me that God was working. It was a journey I will never forget, and it is one that rooted me deeper with God and gave me confidence to face an uncertain world after graduation. I will forever be thankful for this honor of being forever a part of Messiah that has and will always be a big part of me. Thank you.